Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified. Here we will take up the news articles from The Hindu of Delhi edition and discuss them as per the demands of UPSC Civil Services exam. The topics for today's discussion are listed on your screen. Let us begin our discussion. The first article of today's discussion is based on this news, which featured at page number 6 in The Hindu. It basically talks about the healthcare journey of India. And it says that in recent years, India has emerged as a global leader in addressing the critical issues like climate change, electrification, space exploration, and advanced manufacturing. And notably, India's historic moon mission success and the effective G20 presidency showcased its growing influence and commitment to global challenges. And this article specifically deals with non-communicable diseases and AI in healthcare. And it is relevant for General Studies Paper 3, in which the effects of science and technology in everyday's life is mentioned, and the awareness in the field of biotechnology is also there. Hence, this topic becomes important for our mains exam. Whenever you come across any news article, try to map it with the UPSC syllabus so that you'll be able to cover the relevant and important articles for UPSC Civil Services exam. In this discussion, we will focus on non-communicable diseases and the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare. First of all, we will see the status of non-communicable diseases in India. The non-communicable diseases contribute to around 5.8 million deaths that account for 60% of all the deaths in India, as per the WHO report. Hence, it is a serious cause of concern for the people of the country. And the 4 types of non-communicable diseases which has the largest contribution to morbidity and mortality are cardiovascular diseases, cancer, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes. Try to remember this piece of information as you can use it while addressing a question on healthcare or a non-communicable diseases. Further, there are 4 behavioral risk factors which are responsible for the significant proportion of these diseases. The first one is tobacco use, the second one is unhealthy diet, the third one is physical inactivity, and the last one is harmful use of alcohol. And the metabolic risk factors, which are the set of chemical processes that occur within a living organism to maintain life. These includes obesity, raised blood pressure, raised blood glucose, and the total cholesterol levels. These factors play an important role in the non-communicable diseases. And WHO has also said that more than 2/3 of the adolescents aged between 11 to 17 years are physically inactive in India. So, it is again a serious cause of concern for the young population of India. And lastly, the India's non-communicable disease burden will be nearly $4 trillion by 2030. You can use such data points to enrich your answer. And what does this $4 trillion conveys? It is the economic cost associated with prevalence and treatment of non-communicable diseases. And it has become a major roadblock to India's development, and it will create an age tax on India's demographic dividend. And age tax refers to a situation where people will have to pay for something like healthcare and insurance simply because of their increasing age due to the prevalence of non-communicable diseases. And this term was specifically mentioned in the article. Now we will see India's progress on key health metrics. First of all, we will see the budgetary allocation for healthcare in India. And as per the data released by government, the healthcare expenditure has increased by 2.6 times in the last 9 years. And the recent allocation for healthcare expenditure was around 89,000 crores. Hence, it is a positive step to make the people healthier and prosperous. And due to the continued efforts by Government of India and state governments, we have progressed tremendously on following metrics. The first metric is related to maternal mortality ratio, and it has significantly reduced from 437, which was in 1992, to 97 in 2020. Hence, there has been a significant decline in maternal mortality rate since 1992. And to achieve these figures, government came up with multiple schemes such as Janni Suraksha Yojana, Lakshya Program, and Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. And similarly, there is a rise in life expectancy both for male and female. As you can see, in 1951, the life expectancy at birth was 37 for male and 36 for female, and which has increased to 68 for male and 71 for female in 2019. And the schemes which might have helped in achieving this are National Rural Health Mission and National Urban Health Mission. Further, there has been a significant decline in the infant mortality rate, which has reduced from 146 to 28 in 2020. You can quote these figures to highlight the progress made by India in the healthcare sector. There was one another term which was mentioned in the article, and that is the medical value travel. It is also known as medical tourism, and it says India has become a destination for medical value travel, which is the medical tourism in the field of robotic surgery, oncology, and orthopedics. And with the introduction of proton beam therapy, India has become a regional leader in the cancer treatment. And in this statement, we have found one technology, which is the proton beam therapy, and it can be asked in prelims exam. So try to remember this piece of information. Further, what is the importance of medical value travel in India? First of all, it has the ability to create employment opportunities in the healthcare sector. If more people are traveling to India for medical treatment, then there is a possibility that it will generate more demand of healthcare professionals, which will invariably create employment opportunities. Further, it can help in earning the foreign exchange, which will further help India to stabilize the value of rupee. Thirdly, it can boost the pharmaceutical research in the country because of the rising demand of medical treatment of different kind of diseases. And lastly, it has the potential to boost the economic growth in India. So these are the important points associated with medical value travel. Now we will shift our focus to artificial intelligence in healthcare and why that topic is important. As you can see, in 2023 mains, UPSC asked that introduce the concept of artificial intelligence. How does AI help in clinical diagnosis? And do you perceive any threat to privacy of individual in the use of AI in healthcare? And you need to answer this question in 150 words. This was the question asked by UPSC in 2023 mains exam under General Studies paper 3. And today we will try to analyze the broad dimensions of artificial intelligence in healthcare. Firstly, it helps in disease diagnosis and early detection. The AI-driven mechanisms can analyze medical images such as X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans with incredible accuracy, and they can help in identifying diseases like cancer, diabetes at early stages, which increases the chances of successful treatment. So it can be seen as a blessing for those who might encounter such diseases. And the second point is predictive analytics. The AI mechanism can analyze the patient data, including electronic health records, to predict the high-risk individuals and disease outbreaks. And this will allow healthcare providers to intervene proactively. For example, MFINE is an AI mechanism which uses AI for predictive analytics to identify high-risk patients and optimize resource allocation in healthcare institutions. You can quote such examples to substantiate your argument. The third one is personalized medicine. Artificial intelligence mechanisms can analyze genetic and patient data to create a personalized treatment plans. And this approach will help in optimizing the efficacy and minimizing the side effects. Further, artificial intelligence will also help in drug discovery by analyzing the massive data sets and predicting the potential drug candidates, which will reduce the time and cost involved in bringing new medications to market. The fifth one is virtual health assistant. The chatbots and virtual health assessments powered by AI provides round-the-clock support to patients, which helps in scheduling their appointments and the reminders for medication. And lastly, remote monitoring. The AI-driven wearable devices such as smartwatches and sensors can enable the remote patient monitoring. Given the vast territory of India it is difficult to monitor the health status of each and every individual. Hence, the AI-driven wearable devices can track the patient's vital signs and health metrics in real time, which will improve the chronic disease management and reduce the chances of hospitalization. So these are the benefits of artificial intelligence in the healthcare sector. And lastly, we will discuss the roadmap for future. The first point is investment in research and development. There is a need to increase funding for AI research and development in healthcare and to encourage collaborations between academia, industry, and government to foster the innovation. The second one is data collection and management. There is a need to establish a robust data collection and management system which will help in ensuring the quality, security, and interoperability. Thirdly, there is a need to invest in digital health infrastructure. That includes the electronic health records and telemedicine platforms, which helps in seamless data sharing and remote healthcare delivery. And if we need to use AI in healthcare, we also need to develop a skilled workforce. The AI talent development is the need of the hour. And India has joined WEF's Reskilling Revolution as a founding member, which will focus on creating 1 billion jobs throughout the world. And it specifically focuses on cutting edge and new technologies such as artificial intelligence. Further, there is also a need of regulation of artificial intelligence to ensure the patient's privacy and data security. Hence, there is a need for encouragement to adherence to ethical standards by industries or hospitals who are deploying the artificial intelligence technology in providing medical treatment to patients. Further, there is a need to foster collaborations between healthcare institutions, startups, and government agencies to drive AI adoption in healthcare. And lastly, cybersecurity. We need to strengthen cybersecurity measures to protect patients' data from potential breaches and cyber threats associated with AI integration. And lastly, you can write that our country possesses a vast pool of talented data scientists, engineers, and healthcare professionals. So, AI solutions in healthcare can help in making people healthier and prosperous. And with this point, we will conclude our discussion for this particular topic. A quick recap to our discussion. First of all, we have discussed the context, its relevance for General Studies Paper 3. We have also seen the status of non-communicable diseases in India and discussed the term age tax. We also discussed the progress made by India in the field of healthcare metrics such as healthcare budget, maternal mortality rate, life expectancy, and infant mortality rate. After that, we discussed about medical value travel, which is also known as medical tourism, and its importance in India. And after that, we have also seen a question which came in 2023 mains exam regarding artificial intelligence and its usage in healthcare. Further, we discussed in detail the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare. And finally, the roadmap for future. Moving on to the next topic, which is based on this news, which featured at page number 12 in The Hindu. It basically talks about Shantiniketan. And the context is that UNESCO has announced on Sunday the inclusion of Shantiniketan in the World Heritage List. As this town was nurtured by Rabindranath Tagore, this topic becomes important from the perspective of modern Indian history, as significant events, personalities, and issues have been specifically mentioned in the General Studies Paper 1 main syllabus, and also the contribution from different parts of the country. So, in today's discussion, we will focus on Shantiniketan and the contribution of Rabindranath Tagore in Indian freedom struggle. First of all, let us explore the legacy of Shantiniketan. It was originally called Bhubandang, which was after the name of the village where it was located. Hence, it is an important fact which can be asked in prelims exam. Just keep a tab on such piece of information. Further, the town of Shantiniketan was founded by Maharshi Devendranath Tagore, who was the father of Rabindranath Tagore. And in 1863, Devendranath Tagore has renamed Bhubandang to Shantiniketan. And he also established an ashram to teach students about the principles of Brahmo Samaj. And gradually, Shantiniketan has become a hub of cultural and intellectual activity which attracts scholars and artists from around the world. And many of the students and faculty members of Shantiniketan participated in Indian national movement. This was the basic information about Shantiniketan. Now you must be thinking, why such topic is important for our exam? In 2021, UPSC asked about Madnapalle of Andhra Pradesh. And in this question, you need to identify the correct answer out of the given 4 options. And similarly, in 2023, UPSC asked about the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approach towards education and nationalism. So from this point of view, the topic related to Rabindranath Tagore is important for civil services exam. Now we will briefly discuss about Rabindranath Tagore and his contribution to Indian national movement. Rabindranath Tagore was well versed in poetry, prose, music composition and painting. And within literary circles, he was celebrated under the titles Bhanu Singh Thakur, and his admirers referred to him as Gurudev, Kabi Guru and Vishwakavi. Try to remember this piece of information that Rabindranath Tagore was celebrated under the title of Bhanu Singh Thakur, as it can be asked directly in the UPSC prelims exam. Now we will discuss the contribution made by Rabindranath Tagore. The first one is in the field of literature. As we all are aware that Rabindranath Tagore was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in 1913 for his literary masterpiece which is named as Gitanjali. Moreover, his literary work extended to composing the national anthems of both India and Bangladesh. The second one is his educational vision. Tagore rejected the conventional rote learning approach and harbored a visionary educational philosophy in which children will learn with real life experiments. After his consistent efforts to the education field, his ideas bore fruit in the form of Vishwa Bharati University, which is an institution that stood as a testament to his innovative thinking. And it was designed to keep students well informed about the evolving political, social, and environmental landscape of the nation. The third one is related to social reforms. Tagore harnessed the power of literature to galvanize people towards political and social reforms. And his work served as a potent instrument to protest against the prevailing Brahminical social order, the caste system, untouchability, and animal sacrifice. So, he was against the Brahminical social order. Influence of Tagore on freedom struggle and partition of Bengal. His composition Banglar Mati Banglar Jhol served as a unifying anthem for Bengali population. And moreover, he initiated Rakhi Utsav, a festival where individuals from both Hindu and Muslim communities exchanged their colorful threads as a symbol of unity and self-reliance against the oppression of Britishers. And lastly, he led a powerful protest against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Back in 1915, he was awarded knighthood by British King George V. And after the event of Jallianwala Bagh in 1990, he renounced his knighthood as a protest against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So this was a brief discussion about Rabindranath Tagore and his contribution in different fields. A quick recap to our discussion. First of all, we have discussed the context and its relevance for General Studies Paper 1. We have briefly discussed about the history of Shantiniketan. We also seen a previous year questions both for prelims and mains which are associated with Rabindranath Tagore. And lastly, we discussed about Rabindranath Tagore and his contribution to various fields. And the answer to this particular question is C. Because Rabindranath Tagore translated national anthem from Bengali to English at Madnapalle in Andhra Pradesh. Moving on to the next topic of today's discussion, which is based on this article, which featured at page number 7 in The Hindu. It basically talks about the G20 summit, which was hosted by India for the first time. And this article talks about assessing the outcomes of G20 summit. It is relevant for General Studies Paper 2, in which the international institutions and groupings is mentioned. And why this topic is important? As you might have seen, in 2023 mains exam, UPSC asked questions on SEO and NATO. And in 2023 prelims exam, a question was asked on G20 also, which makes this topic important for our discussion. Now let us discuss the outcomes of G20 summit. The first one was reaching a consensus declaration. It was the New Delhi Leaders Declaration. It was the most significant achievement of India's G20 presidency due to the differing opinions of world countries on global issues like Ukraine-Russia war. And by reaching a consensus declaration, India has shown its ability to shape the global opinion and forge consensus. And it was also the validation of India's middle path diplomacy. The second one is inclusion of African Union into G20. India called for the inclusion of African Union as a permanent member of G20, which highlights the importance of African countries for global economic growth and stability. And now African countries will have their say in shaping global policy agenda and voice their opinions. Also, after the inclusion of African Union into G20, it will strengthen the bond between India and African countries. The third one is Voice of Global South. India's presidency effectively engaged countries of Global South such as Indonesia and Brazil, and India has successfully highlighted the cause of Global South and voiced their concerns, which results into the mobilization of $10 trillion towards climate change, cryptocurrency, and multi-development banks reforms. And lastly, we will discuss the issues which were covered under G20. The first one was all the countries gave a call to accelerate strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. And they all agreed to accelerate the effective implementation of 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goals. And there was also a discussion to scale up the finances from all sources for accelerating progress on sustainable development goals. The second important discussion was related to gender gap. The 2023 Global Gender Gap Index, which was released by WEF, has highlighted that if we will be going with the current pace, it will require 131 years to achieve the full gender parity. And countries have also came to consensus to promote full, equal, and meaningful participation of women in the economy as a decision maker. And lastly, they will pursue reforms for better, bigger, and more effective multilateral development banks to address the global challenges to maximize the developmental impact. So this was a brief discussion about the assessment of India's presidency of G20. Now there are two important initiatives which were launched in G20 summit. The first one is India Middle East Europe Corridor, and the agreement was signed between India, UAE, US, European Union, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Italy, and France. And it is expected to stimulate the economic growth through enhanced connectivity and economic integration between Asia, Arabian Peninsula, and Europe. Further, the IMEC, which is the India Middle East Europe Corridor, will comprise two separate corridors. The first one is Eastern Corridor, which will connect India and Arabian Gulf, and the other one is Northern Corridor, which will connect Arabian Gulf to Europe. Here is the pictographic representation of India Middle East Europe Corridor. You can clearly see how this corridor will connect India with the Europe through Middle East. And the second important initiative which was launched was Global Biofuel Alliance. And the countries behind this alliance was India, Singapore, Italy, Brazil, Argentina, UAE, Mauritius, and Bangladesh. And this Global Biofuel Alliance will serve as a catalytic platform to foster the global collaboration for advancement and adoption of biofuels. And it is an alliance of governments, international organizations, and industry to facilitate the adoption of biofuels. The last topic of today's discussion is based on this news, which has appeared in the science section of The Hindu. It basically talks about the Moonquakes, which means an earthquake that occurs on moon surface. And why we need to study this? Due to the successful launch of Chandrayaan-3 by India. And in 2023 mains exam, UPSC asked that what is the main task of India's third moon mission which could not be achieved in its earlier missions? List the countries that have achieved this task. So, from this perspective, this topic is important for General Studies Paper 3, in which awareness in the field of space is directly mentioned. So, in today's discussion, we will briefly talk about moonquakes and the causes of moonquakes. Firstly, it is a seismic tremor or vibration that occur on the surface of moon, which are similar to the earthquakes that occur on Earth. Further, it is less intense than the earthquakes on Earth. And the strongest moonquake can reach up to the magnitude of 5.5 on Richter scale. Further, it is measured by using the seismometers which are placed on moon's surface by Apollo mission, and it was the mission of NASA. And between 1972 to 1977, shallow moonquakes were observed at moon's surface. And how these moonquakes will help us? It will help the scientists to learn about the moon's internal structure, composition and history. It has a huge scientific significance which can help the scientific community to learn more about moon. And now we will discuss the causes of moonquakes. The first one is tidal forces. Just like the earth experiences tide due to the gravitational pull of moon, the moon itself experiences tidal forces caused by earth. And these tidal forces can create stress within the moon's crust, which leads to the moonquakes. And such kind of moonquakes are also known as deep moonquakes. The second factor behind moonquakes is meteoroid impact. The moon's surface is bombarded by meteoroids and micrometeoroids. When these objects collide with moon, they generate seismic waves which cause moonquakes. The third one is thermal stress. The moon goes through extreme temperature variations between its day and night, which causes the surface to expand and contract. And this thermal stress can trigger the moonquakes. And the next one is volcanic activity. The moon was once volcanically active, and some moonquakes may be associated with the movement of magma beneath the lunar surface. And one more factor which can cause the moonquakes is faulting. Some moonquakes are thought to result of moon's crustal faults slipping or breaking due to the internal stresses. Here we have briefly discussed the causes behind moonquakes, and the study of moonquakes provides a valuable insight into the geological processes and history of moon, and it can also provide insights into the broader field of planetary science. That's all for today's discussion. Thank you for watching today's DNS. Stay tuned for upcoming sessions which will enhance your understanding of various topics which are coming in every day's newspaper.